What's up, yo? Welcome to Your One Life. I'm your host, Kim Young Kim, and I'm super glad to have you as a listener today. If you're new here, here's what this podcast is all about. This podcast is about teaching you from the greatest minds in the world, assisting you in all aspects of your life, and helping you spread the Christmas spirit throughout the new year by not taking down your Christmas decorations, just like yours truly. No, I'm not being lazy, Mrs. Miller. I'm spreading joy to the whole neighborhood year-round. Now, picture this. It's December 31st, 2026, and you're looking back on this past year and smiling to yourself about the great things you made happen and that you were a part of. You realize that Andre 3000 was right. Great things start in small rooms. And you realize that by starting small, starting ugly, because that's how most everything starts, and you are able to make things happen that you are now proud of. That's what I want for myself, and that's what I want for you. And the thing I don't want for myself, and also for you, is a feeling of regret for what we could have done, but we didn't do this year. I remember back when I was in college, in the middle of winter, I had this idea to sit out in the quad of my school with a box of collect jackets to give to homeless shelters. The plan was I'd sit out there for a week and tell people they can come back until Friday to drop off a jacket or coat that they brought from home. But as I was having this idea, I started thinking about the consequences of doing this. And my focus, of course, was on the negative. I started thinking, what if people label me as a do-gooder, goody-two-shoes? And also, I was wondering how people will treat me afterwards. And I was so concerned about my image and what I could possibly lose. And because of these thoughts, I decided not to do the jacket collection. And a few weeks after not going after this idea, I did not like myself. Now, I rarely think about this anymore, but when I do, there's a wondering of what could have been. And I personally hate wondering. I hate that idea. Oh, what could have possibly happened because I took this action? And the one thing I think we all want to do in life is to live a full life, to go for it, to not worry about what people think, and to look back with pride versus regret. Now, you already know that every new year is a chapter in a book that's unwritten. And like all books, every chapter builds on the previous one. So my challenge to myself and to you this coming year is to write a great story in the next 365 days of your life. And I've realized that one major way I can do this is through either joining something that's awesome that's already happening or starting something that doesn't exist, like an organization called the AA Rons across America. Now, I thought Kim Young Kim was a bad name, but I am so grateful to have my name and that I'm not an AA Ron, because them dudes need a support group. Now, regarding joining a club or organization, I had a great guest on last year, Pete Davis, the co-creator of the documentary Join or Die, and he has excellent advice on where to start in regards to joining something. He says the best way to find a group to join is by considering your own interests. Ask yourself, what do you enjoy doing that you'd like to do with other people? If you're into singing, maybe you should join a barbershop quartet. And if you're not a man from the 1920s, maybe you should join a chorus or a choir. Now, if singing isn't your thing, you can join a hiking group or a board game group, or if you're into fitness, you can join my workout group. We're called the Navy SEALs. We're not the actual Navy SEALs, by the way. We just call ourselves that. I'm pretty sure that's legal. But there are countless groups out there for you to join, and finding them may be a few keystrokes away. And by the way, if you're into filmmaking and live in Atlanta, there's an awesome group of filmmakers that meets every Monday night in the city called Kick the Ladder. Go check them out. There's a lot of talented individuals there. I personally have been involved in the past, and it's a great place to develop your acting, directing, and writing skills, if that's your passion. If you really don't know where to start, there are accounts that promote groups in certain cities, like Join Philly and Join ATL. And I'll link their Instagram accounts in the show notes, along with Kick the Ladders. And if you don't want to go hunting too hard, you may have a group right under your nose. Maybe your company has a Toastmasters group to join. And if public speaking isn't your thing, Maybe there's an ERG, which stands for Employee Resource Group, and they have all these different groups at your company that align with your interests, that align with your identity, and so on and so forth. But regardless, people are out there and they're doing things, and if they are, and that thing that they're doing speaks to you, maybe you should join them. Because the fact of the matter is, joining something is so much easier than starting something, as the infrastructure is already there. And if there's a club or organization who's actually doing the thing you're interested in, I highly recommend joining them over starting your own thing, as long as you can get along with them and your values align. Because starting something from the ground up is hard work. Like, have you ever tried to start a cult? I have. The hardest part is getting the first member, because people always ask, how many members do you have? And nobody wants to be the first member of a cult. What kind of loser cult has no members? I mean, seriously, what was I thinking? I should have joined a cult. And speaking of joining, the great thing about joining something is that it is the best way to make friends as an adult. And the harsh reality of becoming an adult is that it's hard to make friends. Genuinely hard. And a huge factor of the difficulty is that we're not joining things anymore. But beyond that, the busyness of adulthood is real, the struggle is real, so much so that I'm going to make a future episode on how to make friends as an adult. Now, if you can't find a group to join, you can start your own. Starting something that's fun in nature is on the easier side when it comes to building from the ground up. When I lived in LA, I started a basketball group that met on Saturday mornings. I sent out the invite, and the first meeting was a smaller group. I think 2 or 3 people showed up. And then the following week, 5 or 6 people showed up. But over time, people invited their friends. And full disclosure, some of these people were already my friends. But they started inviting their friends, and a lot of them kept showing up. And we'd often have like 14, 15 dudes out there hooping, and it was a total blast. And I'm not saying they called me Michael Jordan out there, because they didn't. But what I will say is there was a documentary made of our Saturday morning basketball runs where I was yelling at my teammates and taking everything personally. Now, creating groups that aren't focused on a fun activity is much harder, but sometimes it's also necessary and needed. A couple things that I started at the end of 2025 were both things that didn't already exist. The first thing that I started was a neighborhood Facebook group with the idea of helping each other with our home projects, yard work, etc. And it's called Neighbors in Labor, because we're giving birth to sheds and other things that we're building. And my idea came from the reality that we all have stuff we need to do around the house. It's also good to get to know your neighbors, find friends near you, and so forth. And therefore, we could combine forces to tackle home projects while also being social. Now, we had our first meeting a week ago, which was just a social gathering, and I met 2 new people in my neighborhood, and an old friend showed up to hang out as well. And yeah, these are small numbers, but it ain't about the quantity, it's about the quality. And these 2 new acquaintances are down to get down and start working. I just need for their background checks to come back in. Hashtag trust but verify. The other thing I started was an Atlanta National Parks Enthusiasts Facebook group. I freaking love national parks. Like literally our country's best idea. And I love to learn from other people about national parks. I love learning about travel hacks and also what the most effective bear mace is to buy. And I want to connect with people who are like-minded in the idea of conservation and also other lovers of nature. And the goal is to have in-person events, create community, and learn from others in the Facebook group as well. And if you're interested, I'll go ahead and tag this group in the show notes so you can join. Now, the key for both of these groups is I was scratching my own itch. And if you do the same, you can start something that's cool and also that resonates with you. And the great thing is, you probably already have a friend or 2 who will start this thing with you. And if you don't, turn to the missed connection section on Craigslist. Those people will definitely be your friend. And as we ring in the new year, the cool thing about living in 2026 is technology has made it so much easier than ever through Facebook groups, through WhatsApp groups, through GroupMe, and also even Signal. Just make sure you don't add a reporter from the Atlantic, because they'll declassify your information real quick. Now, as you go off into the world and start making stuff happen, beyond scratching your own itch, you might also want to look for needs that you can fill. I heard this story on the radio a few days ago. I want to say it was on NPR, about a man who had a storage unit that he was actually having some difficulty paying for because he was actually pretty impoverished. But the reason why he had this storage unit is because he filled it with household goods, furniture, and other items that people could use if they lost their house in a fire, in a flood, or some other catastrophe. And that was super inspiring to me because what he was doing is he was meeting the needs of the community right where he was. But beyond your local community, you can also meet a worldwide need as well. There are a number of entrepreneurs that are doing just that through celebrity feet pic websites. They realize it's a total pain to search the internet for different celebrities' feet and then save all those photos in a discreetly named folder and pray to God that nobody finds your stash of fine-looking feet. So they created websites full of celebrity feet pics to improve people's lives and also to make a lot of money in the process. But real talk, the key message for today is basically to stop being a consumer and have the mindset of a producer. Because whenever anything is made, the producers get paid while the consumers fork over their money. But beyond monetary compensation, producers, when they make stuff, also become better at their craft, and also better versions of themselves. And the world becomes better too. And besides these internal and external rewards that you get from producing, you also get love from everyone. Because one thing that everyone loves is a problem solver. That's how you gain favor at work, in your community, and also your personal relationships. So the best thing that each one of us can do is produce things and solve problems. Even if that problem is as small as not having enough snitches in your neighborhood, you could fill that need by calling code enforcement on your next door neighbor like my neighbor did to me. Appreciate it, Mrs. Miller. But real talk, the cool thing is you have no idea what all could come about from producing and from solving problems. What you produce may end up creating a side hustle for yourself. You may find your calling, and you may even find lifelong friendships. But overall, it will be a net positive, and you will learn a lot and be better because of it. Now, one super wise thing I heard a successful scriptwriter say was, the journey is the destination. And what he was saying was, as rewarding as making these things were, the journey of script writing itself was a reward, not the awards, not the accolades, and not all the cool things that come with it. Now, speaking of producing and creating things, shameless plug, I'm putting together a workshop on the book Atomic Habits on January 28th, which is a Wednesday night at Land of a Thousand Hills Coffee. It's going to be a great time of learning. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to pull out all my smart human tricks, and I would love for you to come through and learn from this powerful book that will help you to build good habits, stick to them, and break bad ones. I'll have a link for the event in the show notes, so definitely check it out. Now, getting back on topic. As you venture into 2026, I want you to hear one of my favorite quotes, which is, the best way to predict the future is to create it. Abraham Lincoln. The best way to predict the future is to create it. And ultimately, by taking an active role in joining things, in starting things, and in creating things, that's what we're doing. In 1984, two gentlemen named Richard Wurman and Harry Marks came together to create a tech conference that had very, very modest beginnings, especially compared to what it's grown into today, which is the TED Conference. Little did these men realize the reverberations of global impact throughout the decades that their little tech conference would have. And yeah, I know that's a big thing to compare yourself to and to look at. Most of us are not going to create tech conferences that change the world, but all of us can do something. We can make a difference. We can make an impact. And remember what Dr. King said, if I cannot do great things, I can do small things in a great way. And in your own great way, this upcoming year, I hope you take on this challenge. I hope you join things that speak to your soul or also cause great delight in you. I hope you start something that doesn't already exist but is needed. And even if it's just needed by you and a few other people. And I hope you produce, and I hope you have the mindset and the actions of a problem solver. If you do these things, at the end of the year, you'll reflect back on 2026 with great pride for all the things that you've done. All right, so that's all I got for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you got a lot out of it. If you're new here, don't forget to hit the follow button so you don't miss future episodes. And if you enjoyed this episode, please send it to somebody who needs to hear it or share it however you share things on social media. All right, one last thing. I'm going to plug my workshop on atomic habits one more time. That's January 28th, Wednesday night, Land of a Thousand Hills Coffee. And the ticket link is in the show notes. Come on through. I would love to have you, and I'd love to meet you in person. This is Your One Life. I'm Kim Young Kim. I hope you have a great day, a great week, and until next time, peace.